This is ESPN Esports. Arda Ocal and Jacob Wolf talking more to the Griffin story. A few days ago, Jacob Wolf and Ashley Kong reported on CV Max and Cho Gyu Nam, the director, being suspended indefinitely from League of Legends competition. That full article is available at espn.com/esports. Jacob, you and I did a video breaking that down as well on our YouTube channel. But now more information has come out regarding the players. Essentially, catch us up on what the parent company of Griffin has said publicly and what has happened player-wise as a result.
Yeah, this morning it was announced that some of the Griffin players were becoming free agents after the organization said that all players could become free agents if they want. Obviously, there's been a lot of backlash regarding what's been going on with Director Cho and with Still 8 and Kespa, and also with Kanavi, the former substitute jungler who his transfer to JD Gaming, I think we can say at this point, was mishandled. I think that there was a lot of unrest at the League of Legends World Championship while there was an ongoing investigation by Riot Games, South Korea, and China and Kespa, while these players were competing in Europe as well. And, they ended up competing in Berlin in the group stages and then ended up competing at quarterfinals in Madrid. And all the while, they're having to worry about stuff that really doesn't have a ton to do with them. We've seen several of the players come out last week with Imbin and affirm allegations that their former coach, CV Max, was allegedly abusive, both physically and verbally. And then today we saw three players, Lehens, Chovy, and the final player was Doran. They all of them were announced as free agents earlier today and that they would be departing Griffin.
Do you think that will be it? Do you think that the situation at Griffin is so difficult that players that are currently under contract will exercise this and say, I'd like to take my chances elsewhere?
I think it depends on what the player has elsewhere, right? You don't want to put yourself out of a job unless you can guarantee that you have another one. And at the end of the day, Griffin is still a League of Legends champion, or League of Legends Korea Champions Korea team. So why would you lose yourself a job if you don't know that you have security to go elsewhere? I feel like these couple of players will. Find jobs elsewhere in the coming weeks ahead of the season. So I think that this decision was a little bit easier for them.
So Griffin was a very successful team in play last season. Of course, they came in first in the regular season in both spring and summer. If not for SKT, who they lost to in the spring and summer finals in the LCK, they would have been champions across the board, and they made a quarterfinal appearance at Worlds, losing to the 2018 winner IG. So it was a successful season all around for Griffin, but now with so many challenges at the executive level with players becoming free agents, I wonder what this team will look like, and sort of will players around the LCK want to play for a team like this? Will this reputation stick with them? Will that stink stick with them for months to come?
I mean, we've seen teams in the past in League of Legends who have pretty terrible reputations, so players still show up. There's always one player wanting a job or something else, right? I don't think that if you're a top player in the LCK that you'll want to go play for Griffin, but if you are either a challenger player looking to get into the LCK, or if you're a player who doesn't really have many options elsewhere, then playing with Griffin is your option to perform on the professional stage and obviously make some money doing so. So I think that players at the end of the day just want to compete, and Griffin will provide that opportunity to them, even if the circumstances aren't fantastic.
Was this the right move by the parent company, Still 8, to allow this to the players, and do you think that this goes far in repairing Griffin's reputation?
I don't think that it goes super far in repairing Griffin's reputation. At minimum, the parent company Still 8 ignored some of the stuff that was going on with Kanavi and Cho, and also with CV Max, if those allegations are true. I think this was the right move, though. I think that there wasn't really much of an option, right? Like I said, these players were having to worry about this at the World Championship while they really didn't have a ton to do with any of it, and it was just sort of a cloud hanging over this organization that if players want to go off to greener pastures with much less stress from the outside world, then obviously they should be allowed to do that option, especially in these circumstances. So I think it's the right move, but I don't think that this redeems Griffin in any sort of way.
You talked about this in our last video, Jacob. Let's end on this. Just the comparison of investigations regarding LCK and Kespa with Griffin in South Korea versus what happened with the LCS and Cloud9 in North America, and the issue of transparency. I wonder what you think will happen moving forward if we will have more of a transparent situation when investigations like these happen, and how will that be repaired?
I don't think that we're going to get major transparency changes, particularly sort of in South Korea as of right now. I think if there's a world where the LCK eventually franchises, that will be something that's asked for by teams that are going to be getting into franchising, and I expect that to be a very cost prohibitive thing. So the best teams getting in the league will have money. I think that this situation in particular is not over. I think looking at like Ha Tae-kyung, the legislator from the National Assembly, who has still kind of called for more action on this, I think that we haven't seen the last of what's going to happen with Griffin, and moving forward, I expect more. So we may get some transparency on this one eventually. I just don't think it will come from Riot or Kespa.
Do you think Griffin will have all new players at the start of the 2020 season?
I do not. I think that there will be some players, like I said earlier, who don't necessarily have as big of a market as some of the others who left or may leave. So I think we will see some of the same players returning.
Jacob and Ashley Kong's earlier reporting is available at ESPN.com/esport. This story is ongoing. We will be following it. Jacob will be following it. All of that coverage, like I mentioned, is available at ESPN.com/esports.